Hey guys, welcome back. So we are going to get Docker Compose ran here for our database, so we can have a local copy of our database for our challenge here up and going. So if we look at this Docker Compose file, you'll see that it has the MariaDB image. We have it set to restart. We have our root password and the default database that we're going to have. It's called demo for this case. We are mapping that port out for 3306. So default port for MySQL, so we can get access to it from our application. We do have an external volume here set up that's mapped to the MySQL path, so we can get that data stored out. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get this container up and going. So Docker Compose up -d for detached. He's going to download the MariaDB images and get a container up and going. So if we look, there we go. We have MariaDB here. He is mapped. We have our ports there. So that's it, right? You make sure you have the Docker Compose for the tutorial here, and you have a database up and going. Now, what we can do is we can log in from the terminal here and make sure that we have everything going, it's accessible, all of that stuff. So yeah, in this case, we say Docker exec for execute, interactive terminal. We want the container that we're going to execute against, and then we're going to go into bash. Okay, once he's up and going, you can see now we're in here. This is a totally separate terminal. We are in that container. So I can say MySQL U for the user, root is our user, as that's the default user, and then password. We saw from the Docker Compose that our password is secret, so we put that in, and we're into MariaDB. So we have we're accessing our container remotely through this terminal through the exec command using bin or bash rather. So in here we can show databases, right? We can see there's demo. So if we use demo, we can see that. Now we can make all of our queries against demo. We can show tables. There are no tables here, but what we are proving out is that we do have the database. We can connect to it. It does have the default database set up of demo. So let's go ahead and exit out of MySQL. We'll exit out of the Docker container, and now I'm back in my home. You can see that the files here for data that we mapped for that volume as well. So if you just wanted to see that, you can see all the MySQL stuff associated that's mapped externally. So if we do bring the container down, we can bring it back up. It'll work. Data persists, all of that stuff. So we have our database set up, connected, and that's really it. Super straightforward, super slick to get that going. Now, what we want to do is we actually want to connect to this guy from our application. So I'm using PHPStorm. You can use DataGrip, which is another JetBrains utility. You can use MySQL Workbench, whatever database viewer you want. Highly recommend PHPStorm. It's really, really nice. So to connect to our database, we're going to hit, at least here, we're going to hit the plus. We're going to go data source. We're going to say we want to go to MariaDB right there. Okay. The name, I can name this guy whatever I want. So DemoDB. I am connected on localhost. We are on port 3306. My user in this case is root. Obviously, we would want to change this user to a custom user for myself, read-only user, or anybody who's not root with a subset of permissions in a production system or a client app. But in this case, root is just fine. We have our password of secret, and our database is demo. All right, let's go ahead and test that connection. Make sure we can connect. Awesome. So we do the connection. You can see the DemoDB spun up here. We have no tables. So let's go ahead and add a table. In this case, we're going to add a user table. For our naming conventions, it's always single case unless it's a secret or a keyword of MySQL MariaDB. And in that case, it is acceptable to use the plural, but in any other case, we do want to use the single case. Let's just make a quick table here. We want him to be a big int, 20. He's going to be our primary key. Let's add another one here. We want, let's do first name. Varchar 50 for a name. You got to have that guy. All right. And last name. Varchar 50. He's not null. You got to have that too. We'll say you have a primary email. Got to have an email because that's going to be our user account. We want to have a token because you have to have a token to interact with the system. We're going to say permission login, which will be a tiny int1. Default that guy to 1, meaning you can log in. It's not null, so we have a true Boolean value in this case. And I guess if we really wanted to, we could do a created on. Put him as a date time field, and we'll set him to current timestamp. Null. All right, that way he populates. Execute that guy. All right, and now we have our table, at least a table. Again, just to kind of prove out this proof of concept. If I were to go back in here and get back into my container, and then inside of this guy, I go here, we log in, we use demo, show tables, you're going to see user, right? We have our user table. Now if I start adding data, we can select from user and we can do all of that stuff. So if I were to say select all from user, right, there's nothing there. So again, just to kind of prove this out a little bit, that we have a fully functional connected system. I can have a user here. It's going to auto-generate the name or the ID. I can say Tanner Barney, Tanner at redskytech.io. 123. It's a great one. Yes, I can log in. All right, there we go. All right, do that. Go up and select our thing. Right, there's my user. So we do have a fully connected system through PHPStorm into our database that we set up through a Docker container. Again, in this guy, if I were to exit out, just to make sure that I do have him running, right, there's my container. He's up and going. We are active. We have a fully connected database. And that's it to get the first part of this up and going, to get our user table. So go ahead. You'll definitely want to make sure you set this guy up going forward, so the rest of the challenge for the backend system will function as you'll continue to build on top of this. So that's it. Thanks.